Hello everybody, welcome back. We put out a video talking about some Fender guitars that I think that they should reissue. So what would pair better with that than doing a video on the Gibsons that I think Gibson should reissue? For those of you who have not seen our videos before, my name is Alex. I run an online-based music shop called A Flash Flood of Gear. We sell a lot of vintage and used guitars and a lot of discontinued guitars. And the reason I bring that up here is that's kind of what inspired me to do these videos, is what are some cool models that we see come through our shop here that I think are great and also happen to usually sell really quickly, meaning that there's a demand for them. These are guitars that I still see a lot of interest in, even though they're not making them anymore and they're not making a version of it at this present time. Gibson, if you're watching, and we know that you are, this is free advice. These are guitars that if you made them again, I think you'd sell a lot of them. Let's get into the list. Number 5, this one is super indulgent. I really hope to do this again, and that is the baritone Gibson SG. Now, yes, back in the day, Gibson actually made this beautiful white baritone SG. This guitar had a 27-inch scale length, so you tune it typically down B to B, but you could tune it however you'd like. Obviously, a lot of players in the metal realm will want to tune this to like drop A or any of the other drop tunings, and it's great. You get a Gibson, but you get the scale length you need to tune really low. You can tune low on a regular 24.75-inch scale guitar, of course, but your strings can get a little floppy, or you might need to go up to a really thick gauge. So having something like a baritone is really great, as you can retain your tension without having to have crazy thick strings. I know for a lot of us, we would love to see another Gibson baritone. I think the SG was probably the coolest one, at least for my taste. They also did an Explorer that was really great. Also, outside of the metal world, I feel that baritone guitars are starting to get more and more attention, as there is so much you can do with them. Now is a good time. Let's bring back the SG baritone. Number 4 is a guitar that we actually had really recently, and that is the Gibson SG90. Now, the standard Gibson 90 is a single humbucker SG from the late 80s to 1990, named after the year 1990. These were, at the time, almost like a modern take on a Junior, so the regular SG90 would just have a single humbucker. They also did a SG90 double, which you get 2 pickups on that one. But these are really cool, straight ahead SGs in some really cool finishes that you'd really only see on that model and that model family. The one we had recently was absolutely mangled. The finish was really in disarray, but it was still a great guitar. It played really well. It was really light. It's come up in a few different videos, as it's just been one of those very memorable guitars that we got in. I hope to find another one soon that is maybe in better shape. Man, those are really, really cool. And for me, as somebody who loves Juniors, I always love seeing just like a slightly different take on that kind of design. Everything you need and nothing you don't. Would love to see this model in a fairly budget-friendly range. We'll dig more into that on some of the other examples on this list. All right, number 3 is going to bring us back to the Norlin era of Gibson, and that is the Gibson Sonics. I could live with them doing a Sonics, a Challenger, a Marauder, any of these more kind of budget-friendly guitars from the Norlin era. I think that this is probably Gibson's biggest gap in their product lineup right now. They don't really have a lot of more budget-friendly, still USA made, right around like the $1,000 price point. I think they're really lacking here. Totally understand why that is hard to hit. It is quite expensive to make a guitar in the US right now, and getting a guitar that's still made here for $999 new is difficult. But I think for the overall like longevity of Gibson's brand, they really need to do something cool in this price range. Now, Gibson recently made the Music City Special guitars, and I think those are really cool. That's actually like exactly what I'm talking about. I would love to see them do more stuff like that, but at a retail price of $17.99, I think it is just a little bit cost prohibitive for some newer players. They recently made the Gibson Les Paul Modern Lights, which I think are really great, but the price point was just a little too high for what this is. I think a lot of younger or newer players would love to get into the family of Gibson guitars, but it's just kind of price prohibitive and they end up moving away. For example, if you look at Fender's lineup, there's so many different options at so many different price points. I think that's actually overkill. Fender probably has too many options, but man, if Gibson just had a few really cool models right around the $1,000 price point that were stripped back just very giggable guitars, I think that that would do really well. Maybe you're gonna take a hit on the margin, but if you did a guitar like that at a more attainable price point, I think you'd get a lot more people interested in the brand. You start with something more cost effective like this, and then later maybe you get into a Les Paul Standard or something else like that. I think if there's any way that they can force it to happen, just get a really cool budget style guitar like that. I think having some cool like vintage aesthetics like this would be awesome. Funny to call this vintage because this is certainly not golden era vintage, but this is definitely a retro aesthetic for sure. Now these are bolt-ons, would love to see this as a set neck. But yeah, if they could do something like this for $1,000, I think that'd be great. Now, of course, Gibson offers their very expansive Epiphone line, and there's tons of options in that price range. That's cool. There's a lot of great guitars there that are really good value for your money. But for Gibson's brand, I really think having a Gibson branded guitar made in the US at as attainable of a price point as they can do really would do wonders for the brand. My second to last pick here, and there's no honorable mentions, so I only have 2 more left here, is going to be kind of in the similar ballpark as the last one, price-wise, and that is to bring back the Gibson Melody Maker D from the 60s. These guitars are really cool. They have single coil pickups, very stripped back. Now, obviously, these old Melody Makers are not for everyone. They are certainly not the best for playing like heavier genres of rock or metal, but there's so much you can do with these. They definitely get into like Fender territory with their single coil pickups, and I would love to see these as the entry point into the Gibson original collection. I don't know the exact price point this would hit, but if you could do something that's a little bit less than a Les Paul Jr., I could totally see people in the indie rock world adopting these as they're cool and the single coils sound great for doing that sort of thing. I feel like this is the type of guitar that Gibson doesn't really offer at the moment, and so to have a cool vintage correct version of the Melody Maker I think would be a great addition to their lineup. I don't think that this would be too hard to do, so I would love to see them make a 60s Melody Maker D reissue. All right, we are down to my #1 pick for the guitar that I wish that they would make again. If you watch the channel, if you know my taste in guitars, this is not gonna be any surprise. I've talked about this model in countless videos at this point. So if you've seen all of our videos, hopefully I'm not boring you to death. Let's grab the guitar I'm talking about. This is my 1995 Gibson Les Paul Jr. 2 Special. Some of the features that make this different than your run-of-the-mill like 50s style Les Paul Special are of course the tune-o-matic bridge here, so you can get much better intonation with this, be much more accurate. Also, while these look like P90s, these are actually P100 pickups, so while they definitely have the P90 growl, they're actually technically humbuckers, so there's no hum here, which is great. I love these. They sound really unique. You also get a more like 60s style slimmer neck, which you wouldn't have had on a Les Paul Special from the 50s. Those have quite thick necks, but this is way more approachable. Outside of that, this is consistent with like 50s, but you get the cool bound neck. You also get the mother of pearl inlay for the Gibson logo on the headstock. Now, why bring this back? I think we're at the point now that the modern production Gibsons are quite different from what they were making back in the 90s, not only with the Special, but also like the Les Paul Standard, the SGs of the time, even the Explorers. I think there's a lot of cool stuff that they were offering back then that doesn't really exist now, or if they do offer a similar guitar now, the specs have kind of changed so much that it's become its own thing. And there's some modern Gibsons I absolutely love too, but we're in that period right now where I think the 90s is maybe not overlooked because I think more people are starting to talk about them, but it's maybe a little underrepresented. These guitars haven't become like crazy collectible yet, so you can still go get them. So you should go check out some Gibsons from the 90s if you are looking for a used guitar. These aren't so old that you're seeing any like recreations yet. And yeah, in the coming years, I would love to see Gibson start making 90s reissues. They recently started doing 80s, so getting into the 90s is obviously inevitable, and I think that's well warranted. I actually think I like 90s Gibson better than 80s or even probably most 70s Gibson. It's a really great era of Gibson. Yeah, I'd love to see them and bring some of these guitars back, but my number one pick from that would be to bring back the Les Paul Special, which they called the Junior 2 in the catalog. This was only 5 guitars. There's so many cool guitars that Gibson has made over the years that they haven't reissued or haven't reissued in a while. So let me know down below in the comments, what guitars would you love to see Gibson bring back? I really look forward to reading your comments and reading your stories. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share the video and all that good stuff, and we will see you in another video soon. Bye. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen the one that we did last week on Fender guitars they should reissue, just check it out here. There we go. Dude, I'm professional at this now.